more 2018 Camry XSC. You know, I posted a little bit about the inside and the outside and kind of gave just a rough, I don't know, tour of the inside and the outside of the car. But the thing is, there's so much more to this car than cool paints, great suspension, a quiet ride, 300 horsepower, and epic Toyota reliability. It really takes us to the next level with Toyota when we start to talk about and really flex our muscle with safety. Now, again, there hasn't been a lot of talk about the safety features in this car. We talk about acronyms at the dealership like TSSP and C and VSC and BDD and all these acronyms that will drive you up the wall. But the fact is, the safety features that are standard on every 2018 Camry are absolutely astonishing, and I'm going to talk about a few of them. Now, I'm sitting in front of the 18 Camry XSE because I'm absolutely in love with this car. You know, this is a version of the Toyota Crown from Japan. For years I've said, give us the Crown, man, just give us the Crown, and they really gave us the Crown. Now an Americanized version of the Crown, but the styling from the Crown, it's amazing, and this car has it. Google that car once, you really see it right here in the back of the car. Now, this two-tone top sort of hides that Crown, or we should say the Crown look-alike a little bit, but the fact is it's there. What I want to talk about today is the safety systems that are standard in every Camry, but I'm going to point out this really cool bird's eye view package, because while there's cameras on the car that, you know, give you a panoramic view, it's so useful in everyday driving. If you're driving around town, you have to parallel park, or if you park in a parking garage and you park tight, these features are really cool. Now, there's good old-fashioned sonar parking sensors, but what they did so nicely with these old-fashioned sonar parking sensors is they painted them, and now they're buried. Remember 5 years ago when those sensors stuck up and out and they looked ugly? Not today. They're integrated and they're beautiful. And they give you such a great situational awareness in addition to all the Camrys that this car has. So parking sensors in the back, we'll look at them on the front. Of course, in the back of the Camry, we've got a backup camera that's there. That backup camera can do projected path. That camera can do a wide angle view or a traditional straight backup camera. But they gave you a great red line on the screen to give you a reasonable spot to stop when you're parking parallel. So not to bang your bumpers, but more importantly to give space for those people behind you. Now back to bird's eye view camera. And bird's eye view is available on both XLE and XSE. And again, this is the super sexy, amazing XSE with the Rockstar cockpit red interior, which I love. Let's take a look here. So we've got a camera here. That's part of the bird's eye. I want to point out we have a blind spot monitor there. Now that is not standard, that is an option that you can get on LE and up. But the fact is this car has it, and we're just talking safety. Now let's talk again. We've got parking sensors here. We've got a millimeter wave radar that's here, that's responsible for two amazing systems. We've got another forward-looking camera here. And what's so cool about those forward-looking cameras and those cameras that are under the mirrors is Toyota turns those on when you stop. Why does that matter? Well, it might matter if you're in tight traffic and as you come to a rolling stop and you're trying to be tight to somebody at a stoplight or stop sign to let a car around you. Well, now there's no more guessing and you don't have to leave 80 feet between you and the car ahead of you because you can't see. You just look at the screen and the camera tells you how close you are. And they also put two little lines on the screen to show you right about, it's probably in this range. It's just a nice, reasonable place to stop. Back to the millimeter wave radar. I talked about this in the first video, but that radar that's on the front of that car, that senses you're about to smash into the back of a car. Now it works differently in different situations, but I'm going to talk specifically about adaptive cruise control. If you set the cruise in this car to 80 miles an hour and you're running down the highway and the car ahead of you is going 60, it matches their speed. But now you come around a corner or you run into heavy traffic, you see brake lights, and for whatever reason you're farting around on your cell phone and you don't see everybody hit the brakes, the Camry knows because the radar sees it, and the Camry will bring you to a stop, hassle-free, it will stop the car. It's amazing. Now you hear me say it and you're like, whatever. When you experience it, it's absolutely game-changing. It's life-changing in a lot of examples, really. But that's what it will do. It will stop the car. It's amazing. Now, coming back to blind spot. Blind spot monitor's been around for a bit. But blind spot monitor is the amber indicator in the side mirrors. When you're driving the Camry down the road, if there's a car basically from that point to the back of the car. It simply illuminates an amber indicator in the side mirror to say, hey, there's a car next to you, don't change lanes. It does not beep, doesn't do anything, but it illuminates. If you put your turn signal on, the car will flash that indicator and say, hey, knock it off, don't change lanes. Part of that system, we also have what's called rear cross traffic. So we're looking for traffic to cross behind the car. So when you put the car in reverse, 2 sensors are embedded in the back bumper, and those sensors will beep at you, and they will indicate on the screen what side that thread is on. It'll see it, it'll indicate, so you don't back up, take out a bicyclist, take out a pedestrian, or worse yet, back out of a parking stall and get banged into by a car that's crossing your path. Finally, lane departure with steering assist and automatic high beam. Cool features. Again, today, people deviate from their lanes. It happens all the time. But what happens if you fall asleep? What happens if you're fronting around your cell phone? You're not watching. Well, this car will steer you back in the lane. It'll give you a beep and say, hey, pay attention, steer the car. And the system works using a camera that's mounted right there. The camera sees the lines. It knows if you deviate from your lane, and it gives a little bit of steering adjustment. The automatic high beams, while they sound simple, it's one of those things where if the car is modulating the high beams on and off, first and foremost, you get the absolute best visibility in the dark because the car turned the high beams on. And by the way, beautiful LED headlights here. Not just running lights, but headlights. So it modulates the headlights on, the high beams on, if there's no cars ahead of you, if you're not in town. And it takes the high beams and turns them off and turns the low beams back on when there's traffic ahead of you. Tail lights or headlights. So you always have the best visibility. These things are standard in every single 2018 Camry. The bird's eye view camera is on an XLE, and XSE is an option. The blind spot monitor is also on the XLE and XSE. So we're going to come onto the interstate, and we're going to run the car up to about 70 miles an hour. We're going to activate the radar cruise control. Now, a couple things. We'll see that the speed limit on the highway is indicated here on the dashboard. It's also indicated on the navigation screen. I'm going to activate the cruise control, and I'm going to use my thumb to activate it. It'll say radar ready. This car has heads-up display. It's going to show me my speed, the posted speed limit, and it's going to say radar ready. I'm just going to use the set button here to go ahead and set the speed. And we're going to hope to run into some traffic that hits the brakes. So I'm going to run up to let's run up to about 70, and I'm going to hit the cruise. Now right away you'll see that on the screen the car has identified a car that is ahead of us in terms of its path. So on the screen it's indicating, hey, I see a car. I can control that following distance here on the steering wheel. I'm going to bring myself a little closer. You can see some tail lights are up there. We're just going to keep going. Now, if I deviate from this lane, this is where lane departure is going to come on, and it's going to bring me back into that lane. So right away, we're flashing. The car has centered itself, and now that our car ahead of us has moved, we resumed our cruise back to 70. With this system, there's really no need to change your cruise speed. You set the cruise you want to go. If it's 70, if it's 75 or 80, you set it to 80. If we encounter traffic ahead of us, the car is simply going to see that car, and it's going to match their speed. Now, we talked about the fact, and we got big brakes ahead of us. We're going to see how the car reacts. So the car is slowing down. It's slowing down significantly. We're down to 55 miles an hour. I haven't touched the brake pedal. I'm simply covering the brake, but we actually slowed down to match it. Now we're probably going to need some big brakes here. But again, my foot is off the brakes. I'm actually just steering, and the Camry is going to bring me right down. So you'll see that I've still got one car length ahead of me, and the car is doing all the speed modulation. None of this is actually going to be for myself. Now, the way the system is set up is if we come to a complete stop, I can just hit resume and we'll take off. But at this point, I've only come to 10 miles per hour and the car has done everything. Now listen, I'm not telling you to set the cruise at 100 and completely be unsafe. What I'm telling you is that this is a feature that really is a game changer from a safety perspective. Imagine you come down the highway and maybe it's Sunday and you're on your way home. Kids are with you, it's been a long weekend and you're tired. This could be that feature where you come over the top of a hill and back down and traffic has stopped. Your car sees it, the car applies brakes and slows you down. Let me think of something else. There's all this autonomy coming with vehicles. This isn't quite autonomy, but I believe that this would really, really be a great safety feature that would reduce impacts. And really, if the Camry maintains the following distance and maintains a reasonable speed in traffic like this, heck, we may not have this stop and go business because the car is controlling it. It's a pretty cool feature. So as I'm coming off this ramp, I saw my cruise set at 70 miles an hour. I'm going to leave it. The Camry is still looking at whether I'm in the lane or I'm not. I'm intentionally going to run him off the side of the lane. Camry is going to let me have a little bit of movement, and it's going to steer me back in. And when you have lines, it will actually bring you back. This line that I've got here is next to no good, but it's such a great feature. That's the radar cruise control on the 18 Camry with the full range and the ability for the car to stop us when it sees traffic ahead of it stopped. I didn't cover the brakes. The car brought us all the way down to 11 miles per hour. It will bring us to a dead stop. This again is a feature that is standard on every single 2018 Camry. So the 2018 Camry has Safety Sense standard, which includes not only lane departure warning, but also steering assist. So as I bounce from side to side here in the lanes, you're going to hear the car beep, and you'll see the steering wheel turn just a smidge to get us back. You see the car move back in the lane. So I'm bringing it over to the right again. We're going to bounce it off that lane there. And again, the system will steer. If I hit the turn signal on, then I can move from lane to lane with no warning, no indicator. But that system works all the time unless you toggle it off on the steering wheel, which you could do. And really, there's probably a point where you'll want to deactivate that if you're in real heavy traffic and you're moving lane to lane. But otherwise, it's a great safety feature. If we're driving along and maybe I just turn my head to check a blind spot and I steer into the other lane and sideswipe a car, this car will alert me that I'm leaving my lane, and it'll also steer to get me back in there. Lane departure alert and the steering assist is standard in every 2018 Camry. This is a 2018 Camry. We're in an XSE, and we have the optional driver assist package, which gives us bird's eye view cameras. Now, as we loaded this up, we had cameras in the front of the car as well as cameras under both side mirrors. What's great about the system is we come up to a stop, the system activates automatically, and it's going to show us a car up front. Our sonar sensors have picked up the car up front, and we also have we have the bird's eye view that's looking straight down. But this system activates automatically as we come to a stop, whether we're in reverse or drive. Reverse, obviously, the system activates all the time. But as we come right to a stop, that system activates, gives us a great situation awareness. I think this is a feature that would be wonderful if we were parked underground in tight parking, or if we had to parallel park downtown in the city. And if you've got some anxiety about parallel parking, that system will certainly be a great help to you.